But yeah, thank you again for being here for the Shop Like You Give a Damn. That's right. And I mean, we all give a damn, right? We out here. You guys are all beautiful people in this room tonight, to be here tonight, to bring your time here, because you can get money back, but time, you'll never get it back. So the fact that you're here right now is beautiful. So thank you for being here. It's a packed house. You guys are amazing. But with no further ado, I would like to call Ellen Dent, Plant-Based Treaty campaigner, to the stage to let you know about Plant-Based Treaty.
Thank you, Cesar. Thank you all so much for being here. What an exciting night. What an incredible opportunity to be here and be a part of the first ever LA Climate Week. Yes, we are here doing that. And, we usually are talking about plant-based food systems and bringing them to the forefront of the climate crisis, but fashion is also so incredibly important, and a lot of people don't think about, not so much what they're wearing, but who they're wearing. So it's so incredible to be here and to finally have this fashion show come to fruition with Jonathan and Cecily from Fake. So congratulations to you guys for doing this and just being a part of this opportunity. So thank you to Laura and JC for having Plant-Based Treaty, and Sam, back there I see you, for making this incredible connection and making sure that this is all possible. And we also want to thank Unchained TV as well for their support. Yeah, Unchained TV, so Michelle right here, yes, for their support. And, so many others, Vegan Grants, the Save Movement, of course, which is the nonprofit that is behind the Plant-Based Treaty. And this campaign actually launched from the Climate Save Movement, which is one of the 3 branches of the Save Movement, including the Animal Save Movement and the Health Save Movement. But Plant-Based Treaty launched on August 31st, 2021, so it's been 3 years. And thank you. And within those 3 years, over 205,000 people have endorsed the Plant-Based Treaty, but we need many, many more. Yes, thank you. And we also have over 3,200 businesses and organizations who have endorsed the treaty, and 30 municipalities all around the world have endorsed the treaty. Yes, the Plant-Based Treaty. So, but we need more help, and we need help from people like you to help us be successful, because it's not just about one person doing this. This is a collective whole. There are groups all around the world that are doing this work, that are pushing towards plant-based food systems, being a part of this conversation. So, without further ado, I just want to let you all know that we do have our Plant-Based Treaty table back there. The ultimate goal is for it to become part of the UN framework of Convention on Climate Change, and that is something that we can all do together. So please visit our table back there. I know that we want to get onto the fashion show and see all this amazing fashion go across this stage up here, but please come back there and talk to us, and please get involved and help us. Thank you.
Yes. Please, I hope everybody in this room, if you have not endorsed already, I hope you endorse by the end of the night. If you have any questions, stop on by. But yes, got a LA Climate Week. We're here, the first ever, and you guys are a part of history. Come on now, yes. We gotta talk about Fake as well, Fashion, Animal Kingdom, Environment. It's amazing what we're about to witness right now. Art Share being here. Resilient Palisades, our friends, Resilient Palisades. Thank you so much. All coming together for this. But yes, so speaking of LA Climate Week, I think we're going to have to call Laura Rudart, co-founder of Kaleidoscope Foundation and managing director of LA Climate Week, to the stage. Laura, where are you at? Yes.
Hello. Oh my gosh, it's such a pleasure to be here. I'm usually behind the scenes and I don't really like speeches and big things that much, but thank you so much for showing up. Honestly, LA Climate Week is all about the community, about inspiring people on climate action, bringing in people who have never previously engaged within the environmental space, through different efforts such as this amazing fashion show, documentary screenings, hikes, things that are very low effort and fun, just so that they're introduced into the space and the amazing people that make up the space, and for them to continue their environmental journey. So I'm so used to conferences where everyone already knows each other and already cares about the climate. How do we bring in new people into this amazing community for collective action? So thank you so much for being here. Also, a special shout out to Carmela Designs for these amazing dresses created by, yes. They've been created by recycled, oh my gosh, banana, but there's also another, Abaca fabrics. They're also woven by indigenous women in the Philippines, and Miss Earth USA will be talking more about that in her panel discussion. But thank you so much, and I love how LA Climate Week year by year is becoming more international. We always want to focus on local communities and giving back to LA communities and engaging LA communities, but I know that as the years go by, it'll become more international, so LA's reach will become even bigger every year. So thank you so much, and thank you for making history with us.
Thank you, thank you. Let's hear another round of applause for Laura. I don't know how they're keeping up with all these events, over 100 plus events for the first ever, so you know next year is going to be even bigger. With no further ado, I'd like to call Stephanie Gerard to the stage, singer, actress, animal rights activist, your moderator for the night. Let's hear a big round of applause and get that energy going.
Thank you so much. Hi everyone, how are you? So excited to be here. I see a lot of familiar faces, and it's so good to be hosting this event. That is my kid over there missing me. She's recently rescued, and yeah, she's still very needy. She was used for breeding, so she was in a cage for 5 years, so she started to discover the world recently. So yeah, my name is Stephanie Gerard, and I'm so happy to be here, and I just want to remind you that there's a food truck outside, word of mouth, so round of applause please for them. And I also want to thank our partners, Plant-Based Treaty, of course, and then we have LA Climate Week, Brazilian Palisades, and DJ Jaswell. Where is DJ Jaswell? He's been just amazing. We've been all just dancing, and it's so good. Thank you so much. And of course, our chair LA for hosting this amazing event. And well, I think it's time that we learn all the secrets that the fashion industry doesn't want us to know, and that we dress that like we give a damn. So I'm gonna welcome our amazing panelists, and it's just a pleasure to be able to have them here tonight. So please welcome Stephan Stegeman. Big round of applause. Thank you. And then we have Cici Voise. Thank you for joining us. And then you might know this guy, Jonathan Ohayon.
I think we have to sit.
And then please welcome Beatrice Millan-Windorski, Miss Earth USA 2024. Look at this gorgeousness. And Joanna House is here too. Thank you so much for joining us. All right. Well, let's get this started. I'm going to ask some questions, and then I'll pass the microphone and you can all answer. So the first one is, please introduce yourself, and what is your mission, and how are you contributing to that mission? So let me...
Thank you. Hi. Well, thank you for having us here as TULKU, the brand. My name is Joanna House. I'm the founder of TULKU, fashion brand. We are a fashion brand that is not only vegan, but it's also fair trade. We're also using organic materials. We're using plant dyes, and we're giving back to the communities that are involved with making our products. So our mission is to inspire an evolutionary future by those kinds of values and to bridge the spiritual values into the material world. And we are contributing to building that future by having these holistic approaches to fashion, in which we don't only want to elevate aesthetics and still get inspired by everything that is amazing about the fashion world, but we want to make it that backstage people are also in a state of happiness because they're supported by these values. Thank you.
Hi everyone, good evening. I'm B or Bea, respond to both, but I'm Miss Earth USA 2024, and through this role, I've become more involved with the fashion industry, both behind the scenes, helping design my pageant wardrobe, trying to source ethically, but also as a model, and I've seen firsthand how fast fashion has permeated into every level of the fashion industry. And while I use my platform as Miss Earth USA to really focus on the intersection between climate change and human displacement, I more broadly encourage Americans and those in the global north to really investigate how our everyday consumer choices impact those in the global south. In 2019 alone, over 185,000 tons of textile waste were exported to Kenya, and that made its way into waterways, made its way into the ocean. So when you decide to buy a cheap top from Shein and immediately donate it, that has a real impact. And I'm really excited to join this panel and show that sustainable fashion is becoming much more accessible. As a pageant girl, you often have to buy new wardrobe every day, every week for all these various events. However, you can buy secondhand, you can rent through platforms like Rent the Runway, and it's important that we make those everyday decisions to come together and make a huge impact.
Hi everyone, my name is Jonathan Ohayon. I love to call myself an animal rights entrepreneur. I try to put animal rights in everything I do. So I'm doing as much as I can. I have the FAKE movement. If you ever heard about this, it stands for Fashion for Animal Kingdom and Environment. And my mission is to educate myself and others on the impact of your choice when you buy fashion. So ethical fashion, I believe, is the main root of sustainable fashion. And I'm super excited because on top of that, I am now the US representative of Shop Like You Give a Damn. And he will explain you a little more. And yeah, I'm also the author of The Fashion Industry Doesn't Want You to Read This Book, and the co-founder of Arsayo, and yeah, everything I can, I'll try to do it.
Hi everyone, my name is Cici Voise, or Cecile, as I was born. I was born in France from Italian heritage. It's important because I'm going to start by saying I am a chef in Dallas. I opened my first Italian restaurant, all vegan. It's called NDA Cuisine, and it stands for No Dead Animals. But the reason why I moved out of what I was doing primarily, I'm sorry, I'm super nervous. I moved from the fashion world to the kitchen is because I felt like I did the best I could do. So let me now tell you, I am the founder and designer of Blue District, which is a ethical, sustainable as much as I can brand. I say as much as I can because realistically being 100% sustainable is almost impossible. But I make sure everything is, of course, vegan. I use either natural fabric or recycled materials. We make sure we work with ethical manufacturing and fair wages. I know all the workers that make all the food. I'm sorry, all the clothes. And I last year created the first vegan ostrich feathers. And from there, I felt like, okay, I did something that's probably the biggest, for now, I think, for my brand, I did the biggest achievement. So now, what else can I do to benefit the community? And that's why I started a restaurant as well. But yes, I'm very passionate about how we can make fashion ready to wear, something that people are still excited about, but also being conscious. And I'm just going to take 1 second to say, I've noticed that the consumer really doesn't know, and they don't also want to make the effort to know. And I feel as business owner, it's our job to say, hey, we've done the job for you. Shop here. Ours is, you can trust us. It's ethical. And yeah, thank you for listening.
Hi everyone, my name is Stephan Stegeman. I'm the co-founder of Shop Like You Give a Damn. I'm from Amsterdam, flew in for the event. Really happy to be here, And LA has been amazing. The people I've met have been amazing. But Shop Like You Give a Damn, we're a marketplace. We collect vegan brands in fashion mostly, and we try to bring them to the world. The fun thing is about our platform is that it actually started out as a vegan-only platform, which kind of means that I was super frustrated with the fact that I couldn't find any vegan clothing back in 2017. I was complaining about this fact, and then my friend said, maybe it's a business idea because you're probably not the only vegan in the world. I was like, makes sense. Right? I'm actually a nerd. I'm not really a fashion guy per se. But you know, the thing, what happened was we started this business, Shop Like You Give a Damn, back in 2019. And what we learned within the first few weeks of being live is that when you have a vegan fashion company, it's not necessarily ethical in other areas, and it's definitely not per se sustainable. So I was really shook when I learned what the fashion industry is really about. And just one random fact, so I want to see, like, by show of hands, okay, here goes, question. This is a very random example. From July 2019 until July 2020, China produced a staggering amount of fabric. I want to see, by show of hands, and I'm going to do this so I can actually see you, everyone, if you think that it's less than 0.5% of the whole earth covered in fabric, one country producing fabric, does it cover 0.5 of the earth or less? Like more? All right. 1%? 1%? All right. 50%? 10% of the earth? Oh, yeah. No. 5%? 5%. Who wants to go higher?
20%?
Let's go up way higher. The answer is 1,219 times. We can cover the earth 1,219 times in fabric, and that's only fabric made in China in 1 year. As you can see, it's not good because most of this stuff will end up in landfills in Ghana or somewhere in the world, and these communities are really hurting because of it. So what we want to do at Shop Like You Give a Damn is really make sure people know when they buy what they are actually buying, and you know what the whole journey that jeans does. I'm Dutch, so meters, 65,000 meters. That's like 1.5 times around the earth. That's one jean on average. It's really bad. So we really want to make sure people know about these things and make better, less worse, fashion accessible to everyone in the world. And that's why we're launching in the US today, because we want to do it here too.
Oh my God, we're learning so much. I'm just like, what? It does shake you because it's incredible that we don't know all these facts, and most people usually we focus on veganism being everything about what we eat. And there's so many other aspects that we need to cover, and I think that this is why it's so important that we, you know, try to learn and try to teach others about this too. So tell me, the next question is, what are the main challenges in achieving your mission?
Thank you. Well, I'm going to touch upon things that people here have shared, because when we started developing the brand, we said, okay, we love these vegan leather jackets, but of course, we have to think about sustainability too, and we have to think about being fair trade too, and we have to think about being like not toxic to the environment too. And then we found ourselves in a place in which we had to invent from scratch a whole chain of production behind their fashion brand, because of course, no one was putting together all these aspects before. And so each door we were knocking, we had to, you know, paint the picture and convince the people to do things that they hadn't done before. And so it's been, honestly, a 15-year process. Now we are in the process of, it's an early process for the brand, but there was a lot of backstage build-up. So it was a long run. And so we had to stay consistent, we had to stay inspired, and as you guys said, understand that it's not possible to do it perfect, but we can strive to do it better and better and better. And also throughout these collaborations, I feel like we're making each other stronger. Everyone is doing their fair share, but there's so much education, so much information to put out there. That is in places like these, spaces like these, where we feel like, okay, you know, we can empower each other and we're going to do it together. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
The biggest challenge within the industry, but I think the biggest opportunity, is the fashion industry's fraught relationship with labor, especially in the global south. It's historically been incredibly exploitative. However, there's a huge opportunity for empowerment. I'm really proud to work with a gown designer in my pageant wardrobe, Carmelo Designs by Carl Andrada. He prioritizes Musa fabric, which is made of recycled banana and abaca fiber, as Lara explained earlier. However, it's also woven by people deprived of liberty in Davao del Norte in the Philippines. And this provides an opportunity to make money to support their families, to have a trade to support themselves upon release from prison. And also it employs indigenous women in the Philippines, people who have traditionally been exploited by capitalism, the global north, the fashion industry. We can really transition to more empowerment. And this is kind of like what it looks like. So innovation can come not only from new technologies, but also from tapping upon more traditional, indigenous, historic ways of producing textiles and producing fashion.
Sorry. My biggest challenge to accomplish my mission, which is educating everyone, it's, I think, our perspective on fashion. The way I used to see fashion, I'm sure 90% of people will think the same, is that fashion is inaccessible, especially sustainable fashion. It's for an elite, it's expensive, it's not for me, I'm not a part of this world. But we don't realize that as soon as you wake up and you put a shirt, you're a part of this. You're a part of the fashion industry. And I always love to say that we're all superheroes. Our superpower is choice. Now, every power comes with great responsibilities. And our big responsibility is education. We need to educate ourselves in order to use this power wisely and make the right decision. So, yeah, that's my biggest challenge. Let's all recognize that we are part of it and that every choice you make have an impact on the fashion industry. Yeah.
I would say my biggest challenge is the demand. The demand is not as high because people don't really understand, first of all, because they don't know why they would choose a dress made of cotton that would be $100 as opposed to the same dress that they see on these Chinese fast fashion site for $5. All they can think of is, I only make this much money. Why would I? They don't know the difference. So the biggest challenge is, of course, educating people, but also having people want to make the right choice. Because really, we're all, a little bit struggling. We all know that it's inflation or recession, whatever people's excuses is, they are always going to try to save whatever they want. Now, if they really knew the impact that their choice have, of course they will make a better decision. For example, when I created the first ostrich feathers, vegan ostrich feathers, because I couldn't find vegan ostrich feathers. I had options of full fur, I had options of some sort of feather-like made of nylon that looked more like decoration that you put in a vase or anything. And I was like, I can't believe it. So I started looking at all these fast fashion, big brand, can I say it? Like Forever 21, Zara, or even Shein, or all of these fast fashion, and they would have these dresses that would be $5, $7 dresses with a trim of ostrich feathers. And I'm like, I thought ostrich feathers was a luxury item that you find in cabaret or whatever. How is this so cheap? So then I went into like my little underground research and reach out to the manufacturer. How come it's so cheap? Oh, because we have so much, and I'm so sorry I don't have the numbers with me, but they kill, of course, millions of ostriches just for their feathers a year. They are bred just for the purpose of their feathers, and because there's a lot of demand for the real feathers, then people don't change their ways. That's what they do. Now, when I come in and, hey, you can have an alternative, people are like, but why would I? So that's really interesting. My challenge, like, why wouldn't you? So really, it's making people understand that now we have the technology, we have options, you can do better, because it's not only it's not ethical for the animals, but we all know what breeding animals in large quantity does to the planet, to the environment, to everything. So yeah, that's my biggest challenge.
Yeah. So have people give a damn. That's really hard. It's like what you said. And the thing is with people, we're like creatures of empathy, right? And we have like a max threshold, I think, of like 50 people we can keep in our like collective empathy circle, I guess, and care about them. And I've been on a mission. I read the book Against Empathy, and that sounds really horrible, but it's actually not. It's actually very beautiful. Because empathy is a spotlight. You put your empathy spotlight on a person, and if they feel pain, you try to like also feel their pain. You copy their pain. You mimic their pain, and we don't have a lot of capacity of feeling other people's pain. And when you take that more broadly, take it to animals, not a lot of people have the capacity, the privilege of actually feeling the pain of the animals, because I mean, a lot of people have enough shit on their plate as it is. And if you take it even further, you take it to the global south, for instance, and you're in the global north, would you give a damn, right? You have enough on your plate. But that's a problem, a big problem, because we're trying to, help people who give a damn to find stuff, make finding more ethical stuff easier. But if you look at the global south, for instance, other fun facts, 1 in 8 people work in the fashion industry in the world. 1 in 8, that's a lot. Only 12.6% of these people actually make a, no, it's even worse. The 1 in 8 is the 12.6%. Only 2% of these people make a living wage. So of those 1 in 8, only 2% make a living wage. These people are starving, literally. They have to take on 3-4 jobs to just be able to eat and live in a bathroom-sized house, basically. And people don't care. They don't want to know. There's the ostrich behavior. They just put their head in the sand and they don't want to know. And it pains me so much. So, especially if you take it one step further and that you know that all these people in those countries, I think it's like 81 countries that have almost no emissions, like compared to the global north. And these people will suffer the consequences of climate change the hardest. They will be, I think, 40, from the top of my head, they will be 40%, their economy will be hit 40%, I think, so they will lose 40% of their income. And 80% of the deaths caused by climate change will be in these global south regions. And these people have not contributed to climate change themselves. And they're being exploited, and they're not being paid. And the global north is doing it by producing staggering amounts of stuff that, we don't actually want and don't actually use and throw away right away. So this narrative, this really vicious cycle of death, basically, because we are killing people a lot, because we're wearing stuff and want to wear new stuff tomorrow, and only wear stuff once because we're on a fashion runway, that really, really pisses me off, basically, to say it mildly. My biggest challenge is make people go from empathy and start making choices based on compassion. Know what have a compass, have a compassion compass, and make sure that you make choices based on those, because you cannot change the world based on empathy alone, because we do not have the capacity. We can change the world if we unite as people, as activists, everyone in the world who wears clothes, basically. We need to unite and make choices differently. And that's, I think, the only way we can actually change the world. So, I'm hoping that we can. And I think everyone in the panel, everyone here in the audience actually contributing a bit to it, which is nice. That's my biggest challenge. Getting people to give a damn.
Okay, this is our last question, and like Stephan said, I think we take this opportunity to be compassionate, to be kind, to choose that way of also teaching others, because sometimes we do know a little bit more in some way or another, and maybe don't know enough, but I can tell, read Jonathan's book. If you have question of this or that, we can also suggest, watch this documentary, so I think it's to have like this safe space where you also feed off each other and we learn and we take all this, because it's so important, we also sometimes face the world outside where it's really harsh, and when it's really, really, it's sad to see sometimes that not everyone cares, not everyone is compassionate, nor not everyone is gonna have that empathy. But when you find people like that have your same values, that start opening their eyes to what is happening out there, that gives you that boost. For me, that's what matters, and that's my energy every day, where it's like, oh, this sucks. But then I look at my friends and I see the people around me, and it's like, oh, but they are creating amazing things that I can share with everyone else. So I think that's also really important to just, to be a part of. What is the number one advice that you can give the audience, us, everyone who asks, to contribute to a more ethical fashion industry?
I would say use the power of imagination, because I believe that for people to give a damn, they have to believe that a transformation is possible, because otherwise, why would you give a damn, if we're all doomed? So there's a lot of like dystopian imagery out there in films and that kind of thing, but nowadays we can ask ChatGPT and be like, hey, ChatGPT, how would a regenerated world, that is vegan and that is compassionate and that is sustainable would look like? So we have the technology to get inspired. We have the technology to create better ways. So use the power of imagination and get inspired by that, and then do not underestimate your vote. Because every decision that you're making in terms of consuming, whatever it is, whether it's food or it's fashion or it's the things that you watch or the things that you listen to, it's your vote for the kind of world that you want to inhabit. And really, sometimes we feel like, okay, I'm just one person, said 8 billion people. So, if we have one choice made by each one of these individuals, just once, that would have tremendous impact. And regardless of impact, if we start to cultivate this from the relationship that we have in our close environment, just because that relationship is important, and just because we care about the things that we do at home or like with friends, then that's enough, because then that's the world that we inhabit. And we do live in this world that is like as sees above is below. It's like the micro goes to the macro, like it does have a butterfly ripple effect. So these small actions are powerful. And also, for example, what we're doing with our brand is that we're bridging ancient traditions into the future. So also take the things that matter from your lineage, from your inheritance into the future, because there's a lot of value there. So we don't always have to be looking for the next thing or the new thing. We also can look at the really cool things that we already have and make them last, for years and for generations. Yeah.
Yeah, 100% echoing what you were going into. On an individual level, everyday choices like choosing to thrift have a huge impact. In my capacity as Miss Earth USA, I had the pleasure of working with Goodwill USA, who they have their own things going on, but are working towards a more sustainable future by undertaking projects like donating excess clothing that would typically be exported to the global south, and instead donating it to local fashion institutes. I helped co-host a fashion show with Goodwill Delaware, where students at the local university designed and refabricated through felting techniques clothing that otherwise would have made its way into the landfill. And those small choices of choosing to shop secondhand, finding innovative fashion that recycles and upcycles is part of a larger trend of we must transition to not only in the fashion industry, but our economy as a whole, a more circular model where we have everything we need. We have more than enough to survive for generations, but we need to repurpose instead of making things that are new, constantly producing. It should all be about repurposing and creating a better world for our children rather than thinking about ourselves in the moment.
So that's actually my favorite part because it's the most easy, the most fun. It's Educate yourself. It's super simple. You go on Google, you write any question you have, you will find it, or you get my book, you will have all the answer. I find this amazing website. Remember, www.shoplikeyougivadamn.com. Well, they actually did all the work for you. So you know that whatever item you will find there, it's gonna be, we know that it's ethical and all that. So yeah, but the most important is to start today. Make a commitment and do it today. It's super easy. It's super easy. If you are here, it's already an amazing step. It's a proof that you want to do something. So I often say to people, don't use the excuse of this specific example to not doing the rest. Like, I don't know, I take a random example, you're gonna tell me, oh, but I love fast fashion and buy my one item fast fashion per month. Okay, good. So now buy one time every 2 months instead of once a month. And by doing this first step, you will see that putting another step in front is super easy, and then you will do once every 4 months, then one per year, and then hopefully you're gonna stop. So whatever you want to do, just start today. Make a commitment of something very easy, and then everything will come. Yeah.
My advice will be lead by example, because people don't want to be told. They don't want to be suggested. They don't want to be educated because you come across as you know better than me. They don't. So I have stopped trying to advocate for things, but instead I just do. And people that are close to you long enough, they're going to see you doing this habit over and over and just be like, oh, maybe I can try that. Maybe I should do that. And then if something sparks in them, even if they don't make the step today, you have planted a seed just by leading by example. So that's my advice.
Yeah, gonna sound weird from my mouth, but don't buy stuff. I think that's the most important thing. We have enough to last ourselves a long time. And if you do buy, again, it's weird coming from my mouth because, buy secondhand or swap. But when you do buy secondhand, do keep in mind that when you actually buy fast fashion secondhand, you give people who are addicted to fast fashion an outlet to sell their stuff after wearing it once or not even once, and then generating more money to buy more fast fashion. So it actually creates a cycle of destruction. So if you buy secondhand, please make sure that the brands you're buying are actually sustainable. And if you want to buy something new, then yeah, we are a pretty good choice. Here in the US, we have around 50 brands now. It's not, we're not the biggest yet. We have around 5,000 products on the platform at the moment. But we're adding new brands together with Jonathan. We're adding new brands every week. So keep checking us out. And I want to end this one with a quote by Colleen Patrick Goodrow, if I'm from the top of my head. Don't do nothing because you can't do everything. A lot of people say, I never could go vegan because I love cheese. Well, then go vegan and eat cheese. Like literally just drop all the other things. It's not that hard. Just please don't do nothing because you can't do everything.
I think we have a little bit of time for a small Q&A. If anyone in the audience has any questions for any of our panelists. Yes.
Thank you for everything. I was wondering, how do you balance the creation of vegan materials with the fact that sometimes they rely on synthetic or artificial dyes or things that don't maybe decompose like animal products do? How do you take care of the planet and avoid any abuse? Thank you.
I think that's you, Joanna.
Yeah. I feel personally like the biggest issue with plastic is that it's a permanent material that is treated as a disposable one. So, it can last forever, for generations and generations. We just shouldn't throw it away. So, when you have a really good polyurethane, but you treat it as something that should last, for 100 years, then you don't have this issue of waste. And so that becomes sustainable. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to, because I have a brand as well of a fashion accessory, backpack and bags, and we decided to use a synthetic or apple leather, which is half apple, half leather, and it's more an alternative. We use it because there's a demand for leather. But we need to realize that leather is not a biodegradable product that decomposes, because when you when you take the skin of an animal, of course it will biodegrade and decompose and smell really bad and rot on your shoulder, so nobody wants that. So it needs to go to a whole process, and they use between 50 and 250 different chemicals. There's a study called The Pulse of the Fashion Industry. There's many other, but that's the one I love to mention, because they did for me, it's one of the most reliable. And they proved that, I'm not remember which synthetic, but that's one of the worst type of polyurethane, has 4 times less impact on the environment than the production of leather. So of course, leather made of polyurethane, the alternative, might not be the best, but if you think that, not you, people in general, if they think that, then they should be against animal leather like 4 to 20 times more, because it's way worse for the environment. So yeah.
Thanks, Jonathan. I wanted to add that leather is, all these chemicals are like put on the leather by people. And these people, they mostly live in India, in a specific city that does most of the leather. And these people literally have deformation. They have 6 toes. Their skin is all weird. They have random coloring in their pigment. Their pigment goes all wonky. They have a super high rate of cancer in that city. So it's like leather is really bad for people as well. It's not only super toxic, it's really bad for people. And of course, an animal dies. So it kind of like loses on all fronts, if you ask me. And I want to say one more thing on plastic. Fun fact. Plastic was invented to save animals. That's no joke. There was this guy, he played a lot of pool, billiards, is that how you say it in English? English, yeah. And you needed horn from actual elephants and rhinos, and he felt so bad. And he was a chemist that he started to actually experiment with stuff, and he came up with this plastic thing, and he invented plastic to save animals. So plastic actually comes from a good place. And 100% what Joanne said, I 100% agree. It's a durable product that we shouldn't treat as, throw away. It's the worst. So yeah. Also, like a kind of hooray for plastic, I guess.
Can I say something?
Oh yes.
We have the technology now to break down almost any plastic molecule and remake it into something new. We just need a better system. Instead of having people being used to throwing things in the landfill, that would be great if there's something they can mail it to this factory who would reuse the same thing and make something, because I know people want something new. They always feel like, oh, I'm gonna feel better if I buy a new dress. Sure, if you really have the itch, there is a way. We can do a whole cycle looping that would, with everything that we have, we don't need to create more. But there is a way to break down that's what we do with polyester. We break down the molecule, it becomes tiny little ball of plastic that they melt, that they create into a thread, and then they create from an old polyester shirt, you can have a brand new shirt, and there you go. So to answer your question, it's kind of like, it might not be the best ever. The best ever would be you grow your own cotton in your own backyard, and then you weave it into your own fabric, and then you knit it into your own shirt. That's probably the best. Realistically, you have to choose between the lesser of two evil, and the alternative to leather is much better, not only for the planet, for the animals, and for the people, because it's also not ethical for the people. The cruelty towards humans is terrible. We contribute with our dollars to let these other people suffer. So do you want to have plastic, or do you want to kill animals and people? You have to pick the lesser of two evil. Yeah.
Well, we love you, and thank you for this question.
And another question here?
So, whether plastic or leather is more evil is kind of a epistemological question, but I'm curious, how much work have each of you done with natural fibers? Like, I know Fake Movement has these wonderful cork-based accessories, because many of us know the horrors of plastic production, places like quote-unquote Cancer Alley in Louisiana. We don't want to support plastic. any more than we want to contribute to the county. So what about natural fibers?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So it was part of our journey, you know. We've tried every single bio-based product that you can possibly imagine, whether it's pineapple or apple or mushrooms or cactus. Yeah, like you name it. The thing for our particular product is that we need something really, really soft, you know. We need something that has mobility. So in the end, we found that the recycled product that we're using right now, it's the best possible option for right now. And with that being said, we're working closely with someone who is developing a bio-based option to get to this point of what we have right now. So, you know, we're always going to be striving for the next thing, for the best. But I believe that shouldn't stop us, you know, for doing what is possible at this point, because that's how we get even farther. Yeah.
Another important thing is returning to traditional modes of production of textiles, like how you integrate in your own designs these more indigenous designs. In the Philippines, I'm proud to be of Filipino-American descent. A lot of fibers that make up barongs, like the traditional dress shirts, are made out of banana and abaca fiber, pineapple fiber. So it's a much more breathable option. It's much more biodegradable. So rather than trying to constantly innovate, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We can return to our more traditional modes of production as well.
For example, for my brand, I also use natural fibers such as hemp, cotton, linen. I use, I'm blanking on the name, rami, which is this texture made out of plant that is used to wrap the mummies because it lasts a very long time, but it's 100% natural. Now you have to understand, if you come from it seems your point of view, which is you care more, that's one thing. But think about the customer or the consumer who cares about the actual fashion. They want to look beautiful. They want to go to a restaurant, impress their friends because that's the TV told them to do, okay? Now, when you use those natural material, you're going to have a thinner fabric. It's going to be more lighter. So you might not have the structure or something that you would have with polyethylene leather. So I think every fabric has a purpose in the actual world of fashion, right? Now, everybody could do whatever they want. You can go out in your cotton pajamas, wear heels, and look great, right? But I think it's important to have all the options available because you're always going to have that one person who's going to be like, but I want to look like this. If you want to wear a corset, for example, for women, you're going to have some sort of boning, so you have a structure that holds everything in place. You would not be able to achieve this with a simple linen top, for example. I think when you're a designer, all these questions come to mind, and you try to find the best solution, and you kind of realize what you want is the customer to bite. You want them to be like, oh, I want to choose this brand, because they don't care about everything else. If you can offer a better alternative, it's going to be better than them having to go to the fast fashion, buying the cheap stuff. But I do agree that it's great to have all these natural fabric. Of course, it's been better for the body. It's been researched and known. There's studies that have shown that natural fibers are better. The skin is the biggest organ on our body, so it's always the best. But we're not there yet that people would really want to just get for that. So we need to offer both.
There's one more question. One more question. But then after this, it's totally fine because we can still talk to them while we prep for the show. We have like 10 minutes. So maybe just one more. Okay. Who was it? Oh my goodness, so many questions. We're enjoying this so much.
I'm work with Goodwill Southern California, Goodwill Delaware, but and one of the things is we, process hundreds of millions of clothes or pounds of clothes every year.
Would you please speak up a bit?
Sorry,
or come a little bit closer.
Sorry. I'm with Goodwill Southern California.
Yes.
So and we process hundreds of thousands of pounds of clothes every year. Some of it we do sell, some of it goes outlet, and some of it goes to sells Centennial apparel. But what we're looking for is, that's the collections, that's what we're talking about. They're Goodwills all over the country. We can do that. We can collect for people. But the next step is the recycling. Right. And this is where, we need to connect with the people who are doing that. And we talked about some of the polyester stuff is happening. I think some pocket things, but that's the next, the innovators. We need the innovators to take the stuff that we've got more than enough that we can do it. And the next step is to find those people so that they can take the excess that we have, immense amount of excess, and make use of that. So I didn't know if you knew any others that are doing the recycling or.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I could tell you something that is mind-blowing. The factories now in China have realized that, because I don't know if you know, but most countries in the world, they pay China to take their waste. So now China is left with mountains of waste, and they're like, okay, what are we going to do with that? Most new clothes that the China manufacturing is selling to all those big brands that you buy stuff from, they don't say it, but their polyester is actually recycled. And I know that because I asked for recycled polyester, and they tell me that's all we do now. We just don't say it because they want to clean their countries. So you might not see it until the brand realizes and they know it's better for their own advertising, and they would say it. But now more than likely anything that you buy new that is made with polyester is already been automatically recycled. Now this is great. They need to do that with everything. Nobody has to know. At the end of the day, nobody has to know. If we don't create any more waste, that'd be great, right? So, yeah.
I'm so glad to see some Goodwill representation in the house. Most of my personal wardrobe comes from Goodwill, but there are a lot of more local designers who get their start by going to Goodwill, going to the bins, because when you find that fabric, it's something that's affordable that you can practice on. Do I have any student designers in the house tonight? Yeah, heck yeah. Because at the University of Delaware, a lot of those students were so thankful to have pounds and pounds of fabric that would typically be textile waste that they were able to practice on. So forming those relationships with fashion schools is a really great avenue. And then I also wanted to shout out the earrings I'm wearing are by a local accessories designer, Victoria Crafts, and she takes beads and shells that would otherwise be thrown out because of defects, because they're broken, and repurposes them into these new products. So that just goes to show you don't need to necessarily create something new. There's so much waste out there that can be repurposed.
Love it. One more? Okay, one more. There was one over here that I saw. Yes?
I was looking for a site like Shop like Stegeman. What are the metrics you use to measure global impacts of such a marketplace?
Well, at the moment, we're not measuring our impact, but we do it the other way around. We are very strict when it comes to which brands we onboard. Actually, it's like from a business perspective, a marketplace should basically do one thing, and that's onboard as many brands as you can, because that creates, a nice offering, and people tend to like a nice offering. So at the beginning of this panel, I said that I started out only wanting vegan clothes, knowing nothing about the ethics of how people are treated in the environment, and that showed in our approach. So after a few weeks, we started learning more, and we started looking at how brands were producing their products. We started looking at the materials being used, and that went on and on and on. And in about 18 months, we came to a crashing halt because we literally didn't dare to add any more brands because we were not sure if we were exploiting people or damaging the environment with the choices we were making. We just didn't know. Very serendipitously, yeah, sorry, Dutch. A few days later, after we literally stopped onboarding brands, we literally stopped. We were like, we don't know if we want to exist anymore because we don't know if we're actually making a difference or not. A AI company knocked on our door and they said, hey, we can verify claims by brands with AI for you. And let's try this. And we were so happy. We were over the moon. So for the 6 months that followed, we try to create a framework with them so we were basically able to check if the claims brands were making were actually true. And after 6 months of working together, we had 100 very sustainable brands that we thought were super sustainable. We put through that program, and the number that made it was 0. It was not a lot. And then we found out that there are no sustainable brands. They don't exist. You cannot produce something and have it be, it's never sustainable, because before you have actually replenished the resources you used, and not even talking about all the carbon emissions with the 65,000, like 1.5 times around the earth traveling of your genes, it's really hard to offset that. So what happened is that we started thinking about it differently. We started thinking about it in a sense of credibility. Do we believe that this brand that is not there yet, that is not sustainable yet, that is not perfect yet, do we believe that they're actually making steps on a weekly basis towards being better? And that's when our minds shifted. And then we started looking at all these brands that we had onboarded already, and looked at the brands we wanted to onboard. And what kind of happened was that we found out that over the course of those 6 months working with that AI company, that AI company was not the answer, but that it actually led us to understanding the system very well. We had checked around 2,000 brands at that point, and we figured out we had 31 criteria, and these criteria we kind of aggregated in 5 main values: vegan, fair, sustainable, social, and inclusive. And those 31 criteria are the things we now use to assess brands if we want to onboard them. And if I'm being honest, we get brands knock on our door every day. They want to be onboarded. We say no to 9 out of 10 because they're not good enough. But we now trust our gut. We know which things to check on. We know when a brand is bullshitting. We know when to trust a brand, and we do it thoroughly. We have a whole team doing it on a daily basis, checking brands, and they're checking if they're credible or not, and if they actually try to contribute to creating a better world. And that's how we do it. And that's why I think having a platform like Shop Like GitM is so nice, because nobody has to do all that work, because we literally need a whole team. We needed years to figure out which choices to make, how to believe people, who not to believe, and this is not something we can expect from the consumer. We can't. It's impossible. Too much. You need like 15 MBAs to get there. So that's why we exist, and I hope that we continue to grow, and we do, and we actually offboard brands quite often, because we have our standard goes up and up and up and up, and some brands just they can't keep up with the pace, and then they fall off. Even if it's a brand that sells quite a lot and it's very well, commercially really good for us, we just stop working with them. And that's how we, make sure that people can continue to trust us, and that, continue that we have credibility.
So beautiful, and I want to thank you, our panelists. A huge round of applause for them, please. The impact that each of you have is so inspiring, not only to others, but the rest of the world that's also learning, and what you do, everything is just simply amazing. So I want to thank you seriously, and obviously all of you for being here. And don't go, we have an amazing fashion show. We're just gonna wrap this up super quick. Where can we follow you? Where can we find you? Share whatever you can so we can add you and follow and all that.
So you can follow us on Instagram at TULKU Conscious. That's my English is not my first language, and then I have to spell. I'm like, wait. TULKU Conscious, and then on the web it's tulkuconscious.com. Thank you.
For my pageant stuff, you can find it at Miss Earth USA. I'll be representing the US at the international competition in the fall. And then you can find my personal at Earth Queen BEA. And after LA Climate Week, throughout the week, I'll be launching my climate displacement info series, which you can find on my personal account.
You can find me here or at Fake Movement on Instagram. Yeah, shop like you give a damn. If you know any brands that would love to onboard in the US, please let me know, let us know. And yeah, and my book, yeah, of course. The fashion industry doesn't want you to read this book. And yeah, if you have any question, I'm very accessible. And all of us are, I'm pretty sure, so yeah.
All right, you can find me on Shop Blue District, all platform, or shopbluedistrict.com on the web.
Yeah, shoplikeyougiveadamn.com. At shoplikeyougiveadamn. There's a card on every chair. There's some cards in the back as well with a 10% discount code, so you can also find that one. And a QR code makes it easier, so you don't have to type out shoplikeyougiveadamn.com. It takes 9 minutes. So yeah, that's it.
I was gonna say, Joanna, like you said, I'm loving all the accents. You can hear all the accents here. It's beautiful. And so yeah, please, again, round of applause, Joanna, Bea, Jonathan, Cici, and Stephan. Thank you so much. Go eat. There's food from Olac over there as well. And thank you again for being here. 20 minutes, just a small break. Eat, drink, ask them questions. They're still here. And then an amazing fashion show. Thank you so much for being here.